Please remember that all the opinions in the show are those of the host and should only be taken as food for thought. We're in no way telling you to do anything. Everything is kept anonymous for the safety of the listeners and no information is shared to anyone else. If you are easily offended by people's opinions or views, then thank you for making it this far, but this is not the podcast for you, so see you later. And please enjoy the rest of the show. Hello. I got into a fight with my stepdad and he has kicked me out of the house. My mum didn't have my back at all and just let it happen. I was late to work a few times and I'm now working with him and that's what started the whole thing. Yeah, I need to fix up on that part, but the whole kicking me out is out of order in my eyes. Not sure what to do from here. How can I remedy this, lads? You got a fucking tail between your legs, mate.
I think there's two elements to this. Obviously, stepdad, you don't know how long he's been around, whether he's a piece of shit stepdad, whether he's a good stepdad. And the second element is just turn up on time to work. If you're late to work and you work with him, he's probably embarrassed that he's got you in and you'll turn up late. Unfortunately, that's always going to be the situation. If someone gets you in somewhere, they feel some sort of responsibility for whatever you do. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Which is a lot of the time why I try not to refer people, because I don't want to be fucking feeling that burden. Because for the first couple of years of your time in that place, they're always going to feel anytime something happens with you that it's a responsibility of theirs to get you in, because they got you in. But on top, so to start turning up on work on time, I'm like, don't get me wrong, I'm a fucker for it. I will turn up literally on the dot, because I don't feel as though I should give anyone more time than they're paying me for. Yeah. But I would say make sure you're there on the dot. If you're there on time on the dot, no one can say shit to you. Do you know what I mean?
No.
And it avoids all the conversations. He's probably been approached by some sort of management or something in the company who've said your stepsons turn up late every day, or made some kind of flighting comment, and then that's why it's got back and he's been annoyed about it. So you've got to understand where he's coming from. At the same time, if he is a piece of shit and your mum's not backing him up, then that's something a conversation you need to have with your mum. So I think there's two elements there, because it could be that he's genuine and that he's upset because obviously you've let him in, he's let you in, or that he's just went over the top and your mum should be backing you up over everything, really.
Yeah, it really depends on the situation. I understand the whole things get heated, right? Like if he came at you and you both started shouting at each other and then he's just escalated it to the point of like, get the fuck out. Because I've had a lot of arguments like that with my stepdad and stuff like that. Luckily, I was living in the end of the garden, so I could leave. But I remember my dad. I moan about. Well, no, I normally don't. I remember going around the weekend. I was supposed to be at his, and he had kicked my stepsister out. Like he was throwing her clothes out of the top window. Because what did she even do? I think she had lost her job, and she wasn't looking for anything else. So he was like, "You're not living here if you're not working," and kicked her out. It was like throwing all her clothes out. Like, fuck, that's a piece of shit, man. That is it. Yeah. I'm glad I don't picture him in a good fucking light, the dickhead. Yeah. So I don't know. Yeah, stepdads feel a bit more like responsibility, right? Because they're not your dad, and it's like they need to be the firm figure.
Yeah,
I guess. So they try a little bit harder, which I suppose means they care. But then some people are just fucking dickheads. I agree with Jay. Like, if you've got somewhere to stay, like if you're staying at a mate's or something like that, because it's not going to last long. If you start turning up on time, showing that you're trying to make the effort, and then after a couple of days or whatever, just be like, oh, I understand I was being late, blah, 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 and everything got a bit heated. I'm trying my hardest to come in. Can I move back home? Then I'm sure they'll be okay.
Yeah, I don't think it's a permanent thing. I think it's you have rows with people. The amount of times I stormed out when I lived at home, and would be fucking at my mate's house till God knows what time, until eventually I went home when I knew mum and dad would be asleep and shit. Do you know what I mean? Like, these things happen when you live with parents or step parents, whatever. Um, I know for a fact when my brother worked with my dad over in the place my dad works, my dad used to always tell Kieran off for doing certain things, like for mouthing back to people and don't say this, don't be too open with people, don't say this to people and all this stuff, because obviously they're already established there, and then that's a new element of their outside life in there as well.
Yeah.
And I do think it's understandable where he's coming from. And yeah, he may have overreacted at the time, but at the same time, like, I think both could be in the wrong by the end of it.
Yeah, like I said, if he's come at you and you've just, come back, then it just gets escalated.
Yeah,
I think he's trying to teach you about, because it's important to be on time, right? Once you start working and things like that's being on time for your job is one of the main things that employers
yeah,
want.
punctuation.
Yeah, yeah. And no matter, even if you're there and you're a bit shit and stuff like that, as long as you've turned up on time, that's the main thing. And that'll go with you. Like if you go to another job and they give you a reference or anything, and it's like, yeah, he was here, but he was always late. Yeah, you know what I mean, so
Yeah, exactly. And I think once you get typecast as something, it's hard to not get not like when I had to spate where I was late quite a bit, um, for different reasons. Because I start basically when I changed shift, I started having to take my dog with me and then
mm-hmm.
drop him off at my mum's, and doing all that at fucking. It was hard to figure out how long that was going to take me, because obviously in a normal terms, when it's not 5 in the morning or 4:30 in the morning when you're doing it, it would take you 15 minutes extra. But when you're fucking around with a fucking Jack Russell at 4:30 in the morning, it takes longer than you expect. Yeah. So it took me probably a month or so to figure out how quickly I can get him in the house and to work in a comfortable space of time. And I think that got me typecast as being late all the time for probably a year after that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Even though I was on time all the time, but everyone would be like, "Oh, Jamie's late again. Oh,
yeah.
Jamie's late again." So you got to kind of play it by, like, people are going to still say it for a few months after, and you just got to kind of keep plugging away at it, and just like the way you got to see it is the best way to keep your job is to turn up on time and do your job. Do you know what I mean?
For sure. The thing with your mum, maybe she just doesn't want to get involved because you're
Not
both working
necessarily,
together.
yeah, it's not necessarily a
Yeah.
home thing.
I mean, letting you get kicked out is maybe she knows that it's not going to last, and it's just like oh, it'd be good for him to crack the whip for like a day, and then he'll be back tomorrow, sort of thing.
Maybe they're
Like,
hoping they scare you into behave. Well, not behaving yourself, but like thinking about it twice.
yeah, making better choices. But you already know that anyway. Like you said in the email, um, I think when these situations happen, especially when it's like not your dad
Mm.
and it's like family members and stuff, like it's so easily escalated to a point where it's got to like this.
Yeah,
So I think like you just need time to cool off, both of you, and I think you need to start trying a bit harder to turn up, and then just say, I didn't appreciate the way you spoke to me. I understood the where it got to and why it got there, and I'll try harder. I'll just come home. There's no
yeah.
point going and having an argument with him to try and get back in the house.
Oh no, no.
Yeah, I mean, so just making peace is the easiest thing, and it's better for everyone. It's better for the mood of the house, right?
It might also set a standard. Like if you say, "Oh, I didn't appreciate the way you said things and how it went about. I don't want work to be dragged back into the house."
Mm-hmm.
Could also be a standard that could be put in there, and like, obviously they might be on different shifts, but it might be a good thing to like make an effort if you are working at the same times to say, like, look, we'll start going together until I can start trusting myself to get myself there on time.
Yeah,
To show you making an effort, if anything.
yeah, because it's like it's one of those things like when you're at work and your manager and stuff like that. Like the managers are always taught, like if you need to say something to someone, you take them to the side and you speak to them on their own. So yeah, like you could be like, oh, like Jamie says about not bringing things home. Be like, oh, you could have taken me to the car or whatever, and we could have had a discussion together
Mm.
instead of it blowing out and then like mum's got to pick sides and that's
Because
not fair on
it does
her.
corrupt your household. Like part of the reason me and Charlotte both needed to get out of co-op and working together, and well, we weren't working together, but in the same business, was the fact that our entire lives was that. So when we were
Mm,
coming home, there was no, we're not working anymore. It was still all work based.
yeah,
Having phone calls with people because everyone's always useless and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? So I think I think having a work life balance does affect stuff. And if you're having discussions at home about work, don't get me wrong, I talk shop when I see Joe or like my auntie or my uncle or Connor or whoever works with me. We'll talk shop for a bit, but it doesn't need to be the entire conversation for the whole day. Do you know
no,
what I mean?
you're
Because
already there all day
otherwise, there's
anyway.
no outside of work time.
Mm, for sure, for sure. But we hope you get it sorted, and we hope you have somewhere you're staying at the minute. And don't think going back is like backing down or anything like that. You just
No.
need somewhere to live, man. You know what I mean? It's best to have the family. It's just a little bump in the road, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just a disagreement.